Hey folks, Spencer, welcome back. Another Paul Masters video. Sorry about the weird upload schedule recently. I've been getting some new equipment, which is pretty cool, right? New camera, all that stuff, and I'm still trying to set everything up. My computer's a complete mess right now. I do have some more, USB ports coming in later today, so I can install on my computer. So hopefully that would work, and hopefully it turns out well. But at the moment, again, bunch of mess. I don't really have that much time to record stuff. But I'm just gonna get this one out there quick, right? Because I do them for every banner. So let's talk about this banner then. So there's a lot of stuff happening. The Battlefield reset, which is kind of whatever. You got the Agumons coming back this time with the Jotamon, so that's kind of cool, right? And also the Sygna to Elesa and Volkner banner, which is actually kind of interesting this time because we have the N banner up right now, and Volkner is basically the perfect partner in crime for N, right? They work so well together on like so many different levels, right? So let's talk about them. So let's first talk about Volkner, because Volkner is the slightly more interesting one over here because of our banner situation with N still around and all that stuff, right? So the thing with Volkner is, right, Volkner gives you electric terrain, which is a free 50% boost to N's damage, like straight up. These electro type moves, right? And sync move as well. Free 50% damage boost. Like, Volkner is what makes N good, right? Without Volkner, N's kind of, right? I mean, let's see. N's damage without Volkner's electric terrain. Let's see. It's not even as high as like Sharpedo or like Embor, right? Yeah, and that's not. I mean, it's still not terrible. I mean, Sharpedo, Embor, they do solid damage, but the thing that like puts N over the top is electric terrain, because again, that's free 50% damage, which is crazy, right? So if you are an N owner, Volkner is definitely something that you really would want to have, right? Just helps N so much, right? And not only electric terrain, you also have Thunderfang, which gives you the small chance to paralyze or flinch with hostile environment 4 and aggravation 4 that increases the chance of exponentially, right? And the other thing about N is, and the good thing about paralysis is because you have Static Shock 3, which increases sync move damage by 30% when the opponent is paralyzed, which is why you want Volkner to paralyze the opponent as well. Another thing about Ed is Bulk Strike's accuracy is only 85%. Like, sure, you could take up like accuracy nodes, but it's like, I mean, well, you only have one, so you can't max it out anyways. But yeah, only 85% accuracy for Bolt Strike. And like Volkner fits N so well, right? Volkner even fixes N's like accuracy issues, because Volkner's trainer move raises attack, gives a guaranteed crit, and then when you have electric terrain up, you give your whole team accuracy. It's almost like they designed Volkner to like perfectly fit Zekrom, right? And they do plan these units years in advance, right? So they probably already thought of that, right? So that's really cool, right? So these two basically fit almost seamlessly, right? In terms of Volkner itself, right? Really good HP, solid defenses, mediocre speed, solid physical attack, right? As for some other stuff, got Wild Charge, does have recoil, but it's decently hard, right? As for the sync move, extra, increase if paralyzed. As a sync nuker, it's really hard, right? Obviously, especially at 6REX. And also has Terrify, which is basically Intimidate, which is kind of whatever. But I mean, it's not bad, but it's just not something anything crazy, right? As for the sync rate, you got a lot of really great stuff. Because like the one thing that I guess Volkner doesn't really help NL with is the speed, because not that great speed and no speed buffs. However, on the sync rate, you do have Turbocharge too, which you do get at 2 out of 5, right? Which does increase move gauge regen in electric terrain, right? So that definitely helps. As for some other stuff, you could like build a Luxray as like a support as well, or tank with like Electro Repulsion 3, which decreases incoming damage by 30% in electric terrain. You also got Shock Recovery, which obviously heals you in electric terrain. First aid, right? A lot of really great defensive stuff as well, and you got a lot of great offensive stuff as well. Super duper effective 1, power reduction 3, powers up moves in electric terrain by 30%. Harry 3, paralysis 2. Not that you could pick them all up because they're literally at like the 4 different corners of the grid. But depending on the situation, you get a combo of those, which are really nice, right? Catalytic Cure and Wild Charge. I mean, that's not that great. It's good. Catalytic Cure is good, but it's like only 20%. Stand Fast 5. Unfortunately, Volkner does not have more Stand Fast. But if you bring like an extra like potion support, you generally should be fine if you're just trying to do damage with Volkner, because he could actually do some solid damage, right? So that's Volkner, right? Again, fits perfectly with it. And going versus things to Elesa and Rotom, a rather older unit, right? But still good, right? You got some really good stuff here. X special attack all is always going to be good. You got breathtaking, which unfortunately only gives you like 1 crit before you sync, right? You do get 2 crit after you sync, which so generally you do want to like sync first before using it. And unfortunately only has like 1 MP, but also gives you a +2 accuracy, which is nice. After the sync buff, right? And then also reduces sync move countdown by 2, which is also cool, right? But unfortunately, again, it only has 1 MP. You do have a MPR 3 on that, so you could technically max out your crit for your team, but again, you do need an MP fresh, right? Got some other stuff, like, also you can't buff the crit before sync, which your first sync's just not going to be that great, right? Ridicure 2, when you dodge, you have a chance to heal, which is nice. You got, for your passive, look alive 9 every time you get hit, increases your evasion by 1, so really easy to max out your evasion, right? And you can't have your evasion lowered. You also have Thundershock, which is nice because it's a 1 gauge spam that could paralyze a target. As for your stats, your HP is actually not great at all. You have great defenses, right? Both defenses are good. Your HP is kind of bad. Special attacks, whatever, right? Speed's okay, honestly. 288 is actually not bad. And you also have a 1 gauge spamble with a small chance to paralyze, very small chance to paralyze, right? And then Thunder could actually do some solid, like Rotom's damage is actually not terrible. As for some other stuff, right? You got paralysis 75, so you could actually do some solid damage with Thunder, honestly. If you want. You don't have to. You also got, let's see. Okay, these are kind of whatever, right? Chances of these happening, you don't really want to gamble on that. You do have 2 MP refresh 2s on X special attack all, which is really nice, right? Hostile environment on Thundershock, which is fantastic, honestly, right? So that's really good. So it's still a really solid support for the most part, right? So in terms of the banner, right? The big thing here, like the big draw is Volkner, because, I'd assume a lot of you guys summoned on N recently, and you kind of sort of have to run Volkner with N, or else N's just not as good, right? If you don't have, like, Volkner with N, N's really just kind of average, right? So you definitely do want Volkner. However, the means of obtaining Volkner is the issue here, right? So this banner is probably going to be your second best option if you ever want to get Volkner, right? Outside of guaranteed scouts, right? So if you really do want Volkner, I'd suggest, if you do like spend money, you could go for like the guaranteed or the select scouts that's been going on, right? You can get them from there. But outside of that, are the countdown banners still around? Actually, let me check. I know the select scouts are still around. I guess the countdown banners are gone, unfortunately. Yeah, it seems like they are. But outside of that, right? This is probably just your best chance to get Volkner, because I don't think they're gonna rerun Spotlight Scouts on their own banner in the future anymore. I think they're just gonna run them as a solo banner when they first come around, and then when they are rerunning, they're probably just gonna pair it with like some other unit, right? Which I've actually come around to like rerun banners, because they are actually not bad, and I do think it's probably better just to summon on like rerun banners and like their first runs, right? Because you do get the extra power ups, which are really nice, especially with all the 6-star EXs coming out, or being a thing now, right? So that's definitely not bad. So if you really want Volkner, this is probably your best option, right? Although I'd say again, like the really downside about this is it's just a Spotlight Scout, right? And it's a rerun Spotlight Scout. But again, I do think reruns are better than the initial runs. But again, it is still a Spotlight Scout, which, yeah, slightly lower 5-star rates, right? And you don't have any limited units. That's the other thing. But if you really, really want Volkner, this is probably the best chance. If not, then I'd, pretty easily skip this one. I mean, Sygna's release isn't really not that big of a deal. Again, she's good. She's good. She's really good. But I mean, I wouldn't just break bank on this banner just to pull like Sygna's release, all right? If you don't have N, if you don't like, you're not worrying too much about like your Elesa damage, this banner is also pretty much a skip. I'm leaning towards like overall not summoning on this banner. But again, like, if you do have N, it is kind of hard to skip this one just because, again, Volkner just works so well with N, right? Again, if you have Volkner, even if you have, like, 1 out of 5 Volkner, it should be enough to run it with N. Obviously, 2 out of 5 Volkner is the one that you really, really want to make it work with N because you do get turbocharge, right? But I wouldn't, if you already have 1 Volkner, I wouldn't go for a second copy, right? I'd only summon on this banner if you, like, desperately need Volkner to pair up with your N. Just like 1 copy, right? But outside of that, I'd probably just not, right? Because again, you know, there are banners up right now that are just more worth summoning on, right? The seasonal banners, which again, limited units, and the end banner as well, also limited units, also higher rates, right? So overall, I'd say it's definitely not the banner that you want to summon on unless you're just absolutely desperate for Volkner to pair up with the end, right? So, anyways, that's me. That's one. I guess I hope you guys enjoy. Let me guys think in the comments down below. Like, enjoy this video, subscribe to the channel for some more Pro Masters content, and hopefully I get back to regularly scheduled uploads once I get everything fixed over here, and hopefully that's soon, because there's a lot of really fun things that I want to try out in Master Mode, which I actually can't even do right now because I just can't record my phone anymore. I just have to wait till this stuff arrives and I could fix up my computer and all that stuff. So anyways, have fun, folks, and I'll see you guys in the next one.